Rivals 2's newest patch, patch 1.1.3, the post-Genesis update, just drops. The devs say, our mid-month patch for February promises to be a doozy. We have a new game mode, a new skin bundle, new palettes per popular request, a healthy serving of balance adjustments, and more. Let's dive into the new features first, then those of you hungry for data can get all the numbers in the following section. So I will say the devs have talked about how they balance the game like based around tournaments, so I was kind of assuming this would be one of our larger patches because the last two have been smaller due to like Genesis and like big events like Frosty Faustine. However, I haven't looked through this patch as like a blind reaction kind of. I do wonder how many like adjustments from Genesis they were actually able to sneak in here, and I think there's a few that we'll be able to tell like, oh, that's new from Genesis, or oh, this is like older. So let's see. First up, we have the Tailslide Wrastor. The most radical version of Wrastor debuts today. I tried this skin in game. It's really neat. Well, I didn't use it, someone else used it. I like it a lot low-key. It does look kind of weird with Wrastor's animations put over it because he looks so different than Wrastor, but I'm a big fan of this one. If you're gonna get it, use code LASTSTOCK, it supports the channel. For the new Trials mode, they say, we've added some new Trials training exercises, including making Target Test its own mode per popular request. You can replay these as many times as you want, so be sure to hone your skills and maybe aim for a high score. They then say the 3 trial stages that are added are Trial Test, Edgeguard Training, and Eye Break, where you defeat Abyssal Watcher Eyes, you can practice edgeguarding, and you can break targets. The White Tiger skins, new White Tiger versions of the Tiger palette are now available in the Buck and Coin Shop by popular demand. This includes White Tiger Zetterburn, Clairen, and Etalus. This is actually really cool, they just added like new palettes for a specific skin. We've also added a White Genesis Arcane palette as a homage to the classic Rivals of Aether skin. You can pick up this palette if you own the Genesis Arcane, which can be purchased to support the Genesis prize pool here. So is that a new skin? I'm gonna cut right now and go and find out. Hey, okay, so I just now checked the website link that they sent, and there's not like a new purchase, so I assume it's just like in-game if you've bought the skin. They also get on here and they say offline skin support. Skins that players own can now be selected while offline. This feature has been in the pipeline for a while and was not an easy task since the items are distributed via our servers. Now, local players everywhere can enjoy their favorite skins at any time. This is really big for locals, because it's really unfun playing a local and there's no skins. You know, it's like, wow, this is boring. I play at home and I've got all these fun skins I bought, and now I go to the local and I can't show them off. So this is a very cool change. Notice for advanced users, to successfully load your saved offline skin cache, you must use the same Steam account that was used during your last login. Okay, so that makes sense too, that's very fair. I also did forget to mention that there are 3D skin previews available. I actually saw this in game before the patch notes, because I hopped on being like, where's the patch? And these notes came out about an hour late. But this is really, really neat. It works really well, you can rotate the characters, you can see all the different colors. I think it's really cool. They also have Abyss Metal difficulties adjusted. In arcade mode, obtaining the medal on medium or hard difficulty grants you the Abyssal palette. Previously, this palette was only obtainable in the hard difficulty. Players who already meet the new requirement will automatically obtain the palette after logging in. I'm not sure how I feel about this, if I have to be like 100% honest. I personally could not beat the Abyss thing on hard. I got within like 5 or 6 seconds of the goal, but was not able to cut it, sadly, even after a few hours of grinding. It was only 2 or 3, maybe. But I really like the idea of, like, having something in a game that's, like, so hard to get, you know, locked behind, like, a single-player challenge. Especially if it's a multiplayer game normally, you know? I think that's pretty fun. But, I mean, if the team thought they wanted to give it out to more players, that's cool, too. That's never a problem, because it is just to recolor the default skin. Now, let's move on to the balance and gameplay changes. These changes have been in the works for a bit. That's probably true because we didn't really get any big changes in the past 2 patches. It's been about a month since we've had like a real balance shakeup. However, we wanted to hold off on these until Genesis had passed to ensure competitors had ample time to prepare for the big stage, which is awesome, by the way. Like, I remember I used to play Overwatch esports a little bit, and they would like change the game, do like a massive shift right before the biggest tournament of the season. You know, and it's like, we've been practicing this meta for like 3 months and now it's completely different, so I actually really do love the devs do this. They say, in addition to containing balance changes to Rivals patch 1.1.3, notably reworks, hurt box locations, adds accelerations to run speed states. What? What does that mean? Like, adds... Okay, so I guess some characters will be faster or slower. And changes the universal hit pause formula in our engine. Wow, okay, so it's a lot. Please leave feedback on this on our new 1.1.3 note board. Let's dive right into the good stuff. I will say, I know the devs actually do read this, and I think I'll do a video going through the note board at some point. Let me know if you actually do want to see this, and maybe even link, like, if you make a note board comment in the, like, comments, and then I'll read that. Okay, new control option, double tap dash. Quickly press a direction twice to input a hard press in that direction. This is really great for keyboard and box players, I guess. I've seen people in the comments of the twitter.com saying like, Dan, like I love this game, but I can't dash on keyboard, so that's really cool. All hurtbox locations are now shifted 2/3 of the way towards the gameplay plane, instead of only halfway. This compresses hurtbox collisions even more, replacing the frequency of Z-axis whiffs significantly. I mean, that's good. I didn't really notice the Z-axis being a problem, and I play this game a lot, so I think I would have popped up, but I mean, if it was happening, this is good to like fix it or prevent it, you know? During dash, characters will now accelerate/decelerate to their run speed throughout the dash. This smooths out the transition from dash to run. Characters with identical dash and run speeds are unaffected, and moonwalking is also unaffected. That's cool that they kept like moonwalking the same, because I feel like that's in a pretty good space. Like, I'm not good at it personally, but it's always cool to see like people do it, and I wish I was good at it, you know? Hit pause formula is now dependent on damage instead of knockback. This change generally decreases hit pause for most moves and makes upward and downward sending attacks feel more intuitive on hit. Since knockback-based hit pause made upward hits feel stronger and spikes feel weaker. Lower hit pause numbers make combos flow more smoothly and help increase the strength of DI mix-ups. The greatest impact of this change, however, will be in doubles, where high hit pause values can make 2v1 comebacks extremely difficult. Previously, hitting one of the opponents would have high enough hit pause to leave the attacker open to counter hits by the remaining player. Some hit pause multipliers have been adjusted to keep moves feeling similar to the previous versions. Voice lines are no longer shared between all instances of a character. This means Zetterburn A will no longer silence Zetterburn B when he starts talking. I haven't noticed this happening, but I have noticed some bugs where like, if you like start like a move, its audio will still play, even if the move is like interrupted on frame 1. You can no longer hitfall on shield if you hit an object earlier in the attack. This was extremely rare, but led to situations where rising aerials on shield were safer than intended. I assume this means like Kragg would like spawn a rock in and then he'd be like safe on shield, I'm not too sure. Joystick thresholds for up/down special have been moved from 0.5 to 0.425. This reduces the chance of getting accidental forward specials when trying to perform an angled up or down special. I actually have seen this happening to people a lot. I was playing with a Maypul player last night, and he meant to up B, and he did side B instead. So this will probably be pretty cool. I do wish we could change our own thresholds, but I understand like why that might lead to some problems, you know, like later on. But I'm not too big into the controller discourse, so I wouldn't be too sure. For Zetterburn, they say Grab now has a new low hitbox. This prevents it from whiffing a short character that lands directly in front of him. I assume it's because like whenever a short character lands, it can like squishes for like the fluid animation, you know. So this is really good. Good change. It doesn't really change how strong Zetterburn is. Sweet spot forward air damage has gone from 9 to 11. Those are scary numbers to put together. This makes it slightly better on shield and better against low damage opponents. I assume this is just due to the like change of like how hit pause works. Yeah, but this is cool. This is also not a crazy change, you know. Forward air was already good at killing, so it's not like it's gonna be like, wow, like the move that wasn't good at killing is now, you know. And it was pretty bad at low percent, so I like that change. All strong attack consume hitboxes now last 3 frames instead of 1. This should prevent the consume hitbox from whiffing instead of hitting in the later active frames of a strong attack. I think this is really good. I've seen it whiff before. This one I have seen. And it's never really fun. It's like, wait, why'd that happen? Like, I expected to be killed and my opponent expected to kill me. It was just kind of like a, oh, you lost because the game was like weird, not because you lost because you played wrong, you know, which is never fun. For Ranno, they say Grab has a new low hitbox. This prevents it from whiffing a short character that lands directly in front of them. A special dive kick no longer skips the landing recovery window when parried. This made parrying it not very rewarding, since parry stun was barely longer than the landing recovery window. Interesting. Oh, okay, so he gets put into the landing recovery window plus the parry timer. I thought I was saying it like the other way around. I was like, wait, that's like a Ranno buff, and they're saying they want it to be more punishing. For up tilt recovery, they say it goes from 20 to 23. This attack was way too rewarding on hit and too difficult to punish due to the backwards movement, so we're adding a bit of recovery. They nerfed this move recently as well, I think about a month ago, and this move is really frustrating to fight, so I'm glad. Forward air recovery, I talked about this with a friend yesterday and I said they needed to increase the frames. It's gone from 22 frames of in lag to 24. We wanted to add recovery to this move since it's pretty large, fast, and strong. The extra recovery should make it, using it multiple times in a row, less reliable for edge guarding. And they also note a bug fix that jump canceling forward special after tongue sling recovery windows, ISAI frame, I still don't know what that means. I think it's as soon as actionable, but I don't know what the I stands for now. They're adding new stuff. Frame while grounded will now give a grounded jump instead of a double jump. Interesting. Okay, so you just get the grounded jump and then you'll still maintain your double jump, I assume. For Wrastor, his grab now also has a low hitbox. I assume they're kind of doing this to everyone who couldn't grab like certain characters whenever they squish down. And they say it prevents it from whiffing on a short character. The Slipstream projectile is now hittable again. Slipstream activates automatically instead of needing to hit an opponent. Wow! Slipstream is now destroyed when Wrastor is put into knockback or grabbed. The on-hit only version of Slipstream worked nicely in some ways, but overall promoted a more campy playstyle for Wrastor, even though the opponent had ways to stop Wrastor from getting the needed speed boost. It often led to Wrastor just avoiding interaction until he successfully landed a hit with it. Now, Wrastor has more incentive to approach, since he immediately gets benefit from throwing it out, while the opponent still has some ways to deny the Slipstream if they intercept either projectile or Wrastor himself. I'm a little bit concerned about this, because I feel like this means that like throwing Slipstream is really good to interrupt an attack, right? Let's say if my opponent's doing a move that might be a little bit slower, or they might be like approaching me in like a way that might be kind of awkward, right? Now I have this very fast projectile on Slipstream, I can hit them with it, and then it puts them into that little bit of hit stun, almost like a Falco laser, you know, and then I can follow up from it. So I do think this will allow Wrastor to use the Slipstream more, right, and reposition it more. So this might be an overall buff. I only play Wrastor a little bit. I'd consider him like a secondary, but like I don't really even play him that much. But like from what I imagine from this, it's just I'll be using Slipstream more, you know, and like repositioning it more. So I guess it's like a buff in a sense, but it's like you will play different around Slipstream, which I think is interesting. I'm down to try it. For Kragg, they say down special hits 1 and 2 ASDI multipliers have been changed from 0 to 1. This move is supposed to be floor huggable, but previous ASDI multipliers prevented that. I always thought his down special was like really easy to parry, but I'm glad there's more counterplay to it, because I have a lot of people press it on me, and I get hit by it because I'm not very good. Pillar will no longer put opponents into the pillar fall state if it breaks while rising. Interesting. This could happen if an opponent was hit by pillar, and then the pillar was broken due to someone holding the ledge while overlapping it. Oh, okay, yeah. I've seen this happen before. I was about to say, I thought that pillar was like, invincible while I was rising, so I was like a little bit confused as like what would do that, like maybe arcane bubbles, I guess. They also note that there's a bug fix that parry stun will no longer be halved when holding a rock. Interesting, I don't know why this happened. That's like a weird bug to have, you know? For Fleet, they say her dash speed has been changed from 15 to 17. This change offsets the dash acceleration change, leaving her dash almost completely unchanged. Upstrong's fully charged arrow will now fall through platforms. That's a good change. I love to use the Upstrong arrow. This change is kind of like a nothing, because it just like changes how she works within the system. It doesn't really like buff her necessarily. I hope to see some fleet changes. She seems kind of, I don't want to say bad right now, but she was in a better spot, and then she was in a worse spot, and now she's in like an okay spot, just not the most interesting spot. You know what I mean? For Maypul, they say fully charged strong attacks will now multiply the wrap duration by 1.5 instead of adding 60 frames. This reduces the reward Maypul gets for charging the strong attacks, making it closer to the original Rivals of Ether version, which had a 1.25 multiplier for fully charged strongs. Up air's multi-hits now have a unique knockback when performed after a tether. This is the formula if you want to check it out. This means DIing straight up will raise the character higher up relative before to no DI or DI down plus away. This helps to reinstate tether neutral up air mix-up, where you must hold your joystick to escape the final hit of up air, or hold your joystick down plus away to DI neutral air outwards. So this just kind of like changes how like her like mix-ups happen with her tether. This will be interesting to like relearn, and it'll give Maypul some more options, I imagine. Up air will now get a vertical velocity boost when performed after a tether. Interesting, okay, so you'll get the same like rising effect that you get after a jump. The strength of this boost is custom for each character to ensure that tether up air mix-up works on them. This helps to prevent opponents from escaping tether up air confirms using only ASDI, regardless of their gravity. Okay, so this just kind of makes like Maypul's consistency a little bit better. I don't know if she needed that, but I do know the tether up air was like not super consistent in this game, and so it's glad to see that option's like gonna work a little bit better. Opponents will now stall for as long as Maypul does when she tethers to them. Okay, so this is similar to the Kragg change from a few patches ago to change how they like played on the platform, which is really great. This prevents her from getting a guaranteed inescapable up air by delaying the input while the opponent falls. They will now start falling as soon as Maypul does, whether that's from canceling into an attack or from reaching as soon as actionable frame. So yeah, this is actually a really cool change. It means that Maypul got like buffs to her consistency, right? But then you also add in a new form of counterplay, so that kind of like reworks how tether works, which I actually think is really great change. Tethering to an opponent in hit stun will now put up special on a 30 frame cooldown. Wow, okay. While the changes to tether mechanics, tether up special became a guaranteed follow-up. This prevents it unless the opponent has enough hit stun to outlast the cooldown and the up special startup, which should be fairly rare. I read 30 frame like in my head, and I processed it as 30 seconds. I was like, that's like crazy. Like, wow, you're really gonna have some risk reward to that, but 30 frames is much more reasonable. Yeah, so this is just to make it to where it like doesn't guarantee follow-up like tether up special, because we know that like up special is so strong, especially in those higher blast zones. So yeah, I'm glad to see this change. It's like they gave Maypul new options, new way to mix opponents, but then opponents have new ways to mix her back and play defensively, and then she also like loses access to this like really strong option that would give her like almost guaranteed kills. They also say seeds will now be ignored by enemy lilies. Previously, the enemy lily would spit the seed upward, potentially marking you with your own seed. That's an interesting change. Yeah, I didn't know it would mark you with your own seed. I'm glad this was removed. I wonder if they could have kept it in and just kept the seed like claimed by the Maypul that threw it. But yeah, that's a cool fix. They also say opponents will now lose chain grab protection when they get wrapped. Bug fix says that seeds can now collide with enemy Maypul seeds, and another bug fix says that wrapped enemies can now buffer aerial attacks if they're wrapped while aerial. I guess this means like if they're doing an aerial, then they can buffer their next aerial attack if they're wrapped like while in the air. Okay. This also prevents Wrastor from buffering a dash attack when aerial wrap ends. Very interesting. Okay, so you just couldn't buffer like an aerial attack before. Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. I was a bit confused on the note. For Clairen, they say Grab now has the low hitbox, just like everyone else. Tipper stuck lockout duration 20 frames to 30. This reduces the amount of stuns in her average Tipper combos, but also gives opponent less time to DI. So it can be both a help and a hinder to each player. So I assume that this means that, like, let's say if you land like a Tipper with Clairen, right? You used to have to wait 20 frames to get the stun from your next Tipper. Now you have to wait 30 frames. So it definitely does change your DI patterns, and this is gonna make playing Clairen feel a little bit weirder, but probably more precise, right? You're gonna have to like really think like, okay, I landed like my down air Tipper, and I want to get the up air stun, so now how will I time my up air? Something like that, right? Or also like how will I like chain like forward airs and nairs together, things like that. So that's a really interesting change, and it kind of like, it makes Clairen have more thought to her. That was one of my big notes for Clairen, is like, she's this character that revolves around Tippers, but her Tippers are so generous, which isn't like a bad thing, but because of that, there's not like a lot of thought, you know? Like her combos are pretty easy, pretty simple. So I think that adding like this difficulty scale and like skill expression is really cool for the character. They also say crouch canceling a Tipper that doesn't send it to tumble will now cancel the Tipper stun. Wow, that's huge. This makes crouch canceling a valid option against Clairen's Tippers instead of always losing to them. I think this is really great, especially into jab and down tilt, which are like really great options, especially on shield. So now you can just crouch cancel them and hit Clairen for using them. They also say up air sour spot hit stun multiplier has gone from 1 to 0.9. This move linked into itself too easily when used repeatedly, allowing Clairen too many opportunities to set up for the Tipper. I actually do agree with this, and as an Arcane player, I feel like Arcane's back air is like very similar, where I'll chain like 4 or 5 back airs together until I hit the tipper box, you know? I think that's cool for Arcane, but for Clairen, it was kind of like, there's not a lot of ways to escape like an up air juggle in this game, so I definitely do like this change. For Loxodont, they say Loxodont has a new grab low hitbox. His leg and torso hurt boxes have been expanded slightly. Okay, so he's gaining some weight. He did not get on that Ozempic trend. They say, ever since his hurt boxes were shrunk in a previous patch, it has caused situations where hitboxes would whiff when it clearly looked like they should hit. This problem was exacerbated by his width, often leaving his legs far enough in the foreground or background that moves would whiff due to the thinness of the hurt boxes and distance between the legs. These changes are fairly minor, but should alleviate some of the frustrations to be whiffing against a seemingly large target. I guess this is fine then, if it's like they're minor and it's just like to fix those one like instances. I would worry if they added a lot of weight or like width to Loxodont more than this, because he's very easy to combo as is, and that's his biggest weakness, and I feel like he's not like super strong right now. Like, I think he's fine, right? He's good. But if they kept on adding like more size to him, that would scare me a little bit for his balance. They then note that Jab 1's recovery has been moved from 16 to 19. This move was a little too safe for its size and reward. I actually really like this change. I remember telling people, I was like, as an Arcane player, this move is so frustrating to fight against because between Jab 1 canceling into F tilt, there's very small windows for me to get in, and then he also has great anti-airs obviously, so it's hard to jump in. So making this just like a little bit less safe to where it's like, maybe I can like slide in with a parry to like parry the F tilt that comes after Jab 1. Maybe that'd be cool, you know? They then say, down throwing an opponent into an inactive lava pool will now give Loxodont a molten charge before destroying it. Previously, the lava pool would get extinguished without giving him a molten charge if you threw the opponent too early. This is great. I feel like all the changes to like how he collects lava pools, like letting like if you land on them with like up B, or like if you grab an opponent and you're standing on them then you get it. Like all those changes have been good so far, great quality of life buff. Lava pools can now be extinguished by opponents during the 60 frame window before they become active. Loxodont can still prevent them from being extinguished by also standing on the pool. This gives opponents more counterplay to Loxodont setting up his molten charges without needing to stay near the lava after knocking Loxodont away from them. This is actually a cool change, so it's like if Loxodont does get hit while spawning in a pool and then like is like hit away from the pool, then like they would lose that resource on the stage. So I think that's just like a cool way to add counterplay to his kit. They also say Loxodont will now extinguish lava pools if he is in hit stun or knocked down when touching them. This prevents Loxodont from gaining molten charge if an opponent knocks him into a lava pool. I'm not sure about this one because this makes it a lot harder for like Loxodont to get some pools. But also it's like you don't get pools for like being hit, right? So you don't get free value. So I'm not sure how this one will shake out. Personally, as someone who plays Lox like on occasion, I don't find his pools to be too hard to get. But it also like can feel like, oh, I don't have any lava pools and I really need them for my like down B to recover and things like that. So we'll see how this shakes out. For Forsburn, he's got a very long set of notes. They say short hop speed from 17 to 18.6. This increases the time it takes for Forsburn to reach the ground after short hopping, adding a bit more commitment to the action. I assume they just found like some of his aerials to like poke a little bit too easily or too effectively, and they wanted to change that up. For Etalus, he actually has a lot of notes. They say his grab has a new low hitbox. That's a shocker. I've not seen that patch yet today. They say Etalus will now have a normal friction when in the hit stun landing state. This allows him to floor hug when on ice without being pushed too far from the opponent. This is a great change. It feels really bad to like set up like a resource, right, and then you get punished for it, right? It's like, I put my ice on the ground like my character once, and then I got hit, and now I'm losing because ice is on the ground, you know? So this is really good. Forward strong 1, back knockback increased these numbers, so it just looks like it's going to be like a good bit stronger, but it's going to be weaker like at lower percents. This should help it link it to the final hit of the move more reliably at specific spacings. Great buff. It feels like, I said in a patch video earlier that I was like, I don't know if I want this move to always connect if you like land like the back hitbox, right? Because it's like, it covers like almost his full body, so it's like kind of awkward to be like, oh, I was behind Etalus and I got forward strong and got blown up at 60, you know? but he definitely does need some help, so I don't mind that too much. They then say, strong attack ice shards now deal no shield damage. Interesting. At certain space scenes, all 8 ice shards would hit the shield at once, dealing a ton of shield damage. I think that's kind of fun though, right? Like, it's like, okay, like, I spaced correctly, and I, like, broke your shield, like, almost immediately. Like, you know? I don't mind that too much, especially, like, for a character like Etalus, who does need those big reward options. They then say, neutral special ground friction has been doubled. This helps prevent him from sliding too far to get ice armor when performing a running neutral special near the edge of an ice path. This is really great. I would slide off stage with neutral special actually a lot and die, which is not very fun to watch yourself like sink like really slowly with the neutral B. So this will definitely help him kind of slow down, control his movement a bit. They then say, up throw release offset moves slightly forward. This prevents it from turning the opponent around. I haven't seen that happen, but I haven't been watching too closely. Truthfully, like, I don't think Etalus has been in the best spot, so I have not been playing him too much. So this is a weird change, but definitely important. They then say, get up special knockback has been changed to be plus 0.6, so it's going to send a lot further at higher percents now. This move lacks the startup intangibility of most get up options, so we're increasing its knockback to make it more worth using, especially when charged. Okay, this is get up special, not the ledge special. Okay. So that's wherever he like spins the ice around and he lays it down on the floor. Very interesting move. I assume actually that Olympia's get up special will be the same, where it doesn't have the startup iframes. I made a video on Olympia like on Sunday, so if you haven't seen that, you can go check it out. I broke down her trailer. For the last patch note, they say ledge attack intangibility frames have gone from 11 to 21. That's huge. The intangibility previously ended after the first active window, which was extremely early due to the move's low startup. Now it ends after the second active window, so they can be used in a similar situation to other characters' ledge attacks. This is actually really great. His ledge attack is also a lot longer than other characters' ledge attacks, because it is like a 3 or 4 hit move. I actually don't know, because I don't play Etalus that much, and the moves are all like really quick, you know? But this will allow the like ledge get up attack to be like an option you can pick now. It's not going to be like, oh, I just like got hit for like using this, you know? They also say a bug fix to forward throws knockback now ignores weight, like all others. Okay, yeah, so that makes sense, just a quick little bug fix. Overall, I think that the Clairen changes and the Maypul changes are really cool, because they kind of change like how they use their mechanics and how you can play defensively around it, giving both players like more skill expression. A few characters kind of got like nothing changes, like Fleet's change and like Forsburn's changes, and probably Zetterburn's changes, because his only real like change is like the forward air change. They kind of like, they didn't get changed, and like neither did Orcane. I don't think he's in these notes. But I'm really excited to play with the new hit pause formula. I want to check that out for sure. And I'm curious about the new dashing speeds and all that. So I'm really excited to try out this patch. And yeah, that just about wraps up the patch. I do have a giveaway going on right now for some stickers. If you leave a comment in the comments below, you get automatically entered into that, or if you play in one of my Wi-Fi brackets that we have every week on Thursday. You can join those through the Discord linked below, and I'll hopefully see you there. If not, that's okay too. I hope you guys are enjoying Rivals as much as me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.